evening and welcome to Business Beat, the business show that marches to its own beat. I'm your host, Vuisa Kabaka. Joining us this evening is Bheki Kunene from Trix Media, a media company that's based in Cape Town, township of Guguletu. And Bheki himself doing amazing things in the entrepreneurship space, and again, taking the world as he goes about it. Bheki, good evening and welcome to the show.
Molo Tata, Nkosi for having me.
Guys, it's good to have you here. And again, we're very excited to have you. So as we get started, let's just, firstly, before we get into the business of Trix, let's talk to Bheki Kal. Take us back to, where did this journey begin?
So I'm Bheki Kunene, as you've mentioned, obviously 27-year-old entrepreneur from Guguletu. I grew up like any other child at Kasi, and I was raised by a single parent, my mom Helen Kunene, and I think I just really loved drawing and visually communicating myself with things, and that's how I fell in love with design, because initially I wanted to do fine art, but then I figured, it's like, so I had to find a balance of doing, visual communication, but getting paid, and graphic design was something which I fell in love with, so yeah.
But I know one of the things with your story, there's always that part about the challenges you had going through school. Just quickly, just take us back to that part of your life and the importance of obviously your family, your grandmother, and everybody in kind of pulling you through and basically on a new path to where you are now. So just take us to that part of your life.
I think, it's a really great learning curve and a milestone in my journey. I mean, I did something rough and I was expelled from school at 13, and it just became a bit of a challenging life. And not being able to access school, and Mandela with his beautiful speech about education being the key to success, and me not being able to get that key, it just made life really tough. And I remember I had a few suicidal attempts, and because there was a lot of agony, a lot of pain, just feeling belittled and downtrodden by society. But the support system I had was quite a beautiful one, whereby my grandma and my mom never allowed me to really look down on myself. And went through that transition. And I guess a couple of years later, here am I, having learned from that. And I think what I learned out of it is that regardless of where one is in life, we all go through struggles, we all go through pain. But that one thing was that and just act on your dreams,
Brilliant. Now, you are now a globe-trotting entrepreneur. You are a digital citizen of the world. And again, we'll get into Forbes just now, but talk to me about where is Trix at now? Your growth, how, the length of time it's gotten to taken to get you guys to the point where you are today.
Trix was started in 2009, and I mean, I started the company with 600 Rand Kamarine, and it was like an internship thing I had to do for school initially how it started. And my 3 friends dropped out, on the first week. They got some cool jobs at some agencies, because there's like 3 of us. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm the head. Then you've got the marketing guy, then you've got the chick that was going to invest. And then they both just quit, and I was like, Buffett, in the first week. So it was a bit of a rough, bumpy start, and basically Trix has been around since 2009, and we manage quite a number of big accounts in terms of the Bury, which is now NB and Bev, ETV, which is a competitor. I'd love to come and hang out with you guys here as well. We do quite a bit of work, but the beauty of it is we've been able to grow from a small company, Kamareni, to a global brand servicing clients in about 4 continents, and we do still amazing work. And
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Now, look, we celebrate your success, and one of the most recent ones, you were recognized as one of the Forbes 30 under 30. What has that meant for you?
Look, for first, it was really a humbling experience and a beautiful thing to just be recognized on a global level. And I do think, it's really just put things in perspective and also helped other people take a small black business a bit more seriously. Because I think that's one key thing which you'll always find as a small business owner, that, corporates never take you too seriously at times. And I think that just really validated how good we really are as a brand. And the product that we're selling is really legit. And it's really just help us take the brand on a global scale and being able to get in touch with other clients in different parts of the world.
Now, obviously, with growth comes challenges. What have been the critical challenges faced by Trix at this stage of your growth?
I think at this point we have so much work and so many retainers, but we struggle to find really good creatives and, you know, in some spaces, tech guys that are based in Cape Town. A lot of the guys are Joburg based for some reason. I don't know.
And like I say, you find them there. Are they hanging out at Google to coming to knock, yeah?
I don't know. I don't know where these tech guys are. So I think that's one key challenge at this point, being able to deal with the capacity of the work that we're getting and still getting more, obviously, but the tech guys, you know, somewhere in space.
Yeah. As we wrap up with you, I've particularly two questions I want to ask, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of young people who are now listening to your story, getting inspired by what you're sharing. Speak to the young Bheki Gugletu in the early days. You know, get that young person out of that mindset and get them into the mindset of creating a new future. What would you say to that young person?
I think the key thing is that we need to dream. We need to dream, and that's one key thing. And the one thing that I always attach to a dream is action. You know, there's a whole lot of guys, they dream, they've got these beautiful dreams, but they never act, they never do anything. And I think for me, it's just a simple thing of saying, act on your dream. Small, simple, consistent steps will actually get you very far in life.
Now, give me the pre-Forbes exclusive. Where to for Trix?
I think it's just really growing on a global scale at this point.
Absolutely awesome. That is a wonderful story of Bheki Kunene, the founder of Trix Media. Again, another dynamic young person doing amazing things from Cape Town to the rest of the world. Join us after the break as we go into more detail around the industry that Bheki currently is conquering day by day. And as we learn from our industry experts around some of the challenges, how to overcome the challenges that Bheki is facing. Join us after the break. Welcome back to Business Beat. And if you're only joining us now, you've missed the amazing story of Bheki Kunene from Trix Media. Joining us now is Stefano Arisena from Web to Web. Stefano, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, thanks for having me.
Before I get into Bheki's situation and some of the unique challenges, just tell us a little bit about Web to Web and the services you guys provide, etc.
So Web to Web specializes in web design and web development. We work with content management systems like WordPress, which means that the end user can actually change most of the content themselves.
Yeah.
And we've been in operation for about 8 years.
Brilliant. So we can be comfortable that you know what you're talking about.
We definitely do. I think combined, we've got about 100 years of combined experience. So you're in good hands.
So just talk to me, Steph, about the industry specifically, the creative industry, and building a business in that space. What was your guys' experience in the early days, and you know, how do you see this growing now?
Well, I think the online industry has grown so much over the last 6, 7, 8 years that new technology is coming out all the time.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that it's become really accessible to the masses.
Yeah.
So if you're not really online, you're actually being almost invisible.
Yeah.
And it's also more affordable than traditional media was in the past. So you can really get online and get your message across pretty easily.
So what are the barriers to entry to starting a digital online business?
Well, I think most of the challenges are usually budget.
Okay.
Usually people have the idea and kind of know what they want, but then obviously the execution of it comes down to budget. And most of my advice comes down to start small and grow as your business grows, your website will grow.
Yeah.
You don't need all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Are there any particular things that entrepreneurs primarily coming in basically as either a startup in the space or someone who's looking for your services that they need to generally be aware of?
Well, I think the most thing is know what your message is, know what your core services are, and if you have your core services in place, then you can actually work on your message. And that's generally what you're actually trying to portray to the end user is, what are you about, what do you offer, and how can you assist them?
So let's get into Trix, and before we just talk broadly about the sector. Bheki is someone that I've known and is grown his business quite well over the last couple of years and is getting accolades for it. With growth comes unique challenges, and one of those is quality people. One of the things that he mentioned was the challenge that he's faced with around finding quality creatives here in the Western Cape. What would you say to Bheki if you were assisting him with that particular issue?
Well, I think the first thing is it does help to get referrals because obviously if someone that you know has worked with another company, it always helps to actually, bridge that connection immediately. The second thing is, if there are no referrals, get onto Google. What Google's done now is they've localized their searches. So you can find relevant digital agencies in your area. And of course, they provide reviews. So go through the reviews, see what people have said about them. If there are no reviews, then that's, warning signs.
And is there enough talent, though? Is there sufficient talent?
You know what? On every single block, I'm sure there's 6 or 7 web design agencies. So there's a lot to choose from. But go with the reputable ones. Do your research. Go on Hello Peter, see if anyone's been reported for, poor work. Check on Facebook, check on Twitter, and check on Google.
Brilliant. Now, I'm a young person now, looking to get into the space, looking to start my own digital agency. Right. What would you advise? Do I need to go to special courses? Do I need to develop my skills? Do I need to volunteer at an agency to learn some of the skills?
So the first thing is exactly what you said. Volunteer. Try get an internship. Okay. A lot of people don't have the luxury of studying, but if you are willing and keen to work, not for free, but work for a digital agency and get some sort of remuneration and build your experience, that goes 100 times more value than anything else. So just get involved. If you do want to go and study, UWC and those kind of institutions do offer multimedia courses, and they're very good at it.
Brilliant. Now, as we get a lot of young people who actually watch the show, they're always very interested in your kind of guys' expert advice around what career choices can they make and what options do they have in your industry.
Right. So I think the first thing that people need to realize is that there's a difference between web design and web development. Web design is more the designful aspects of a website, layout and structure and banners and so forth. And then you get web development, which is the physical hard coding of that. So those are 2 spheres to go into immediately with web design and web development. And then from there, it branches off to social media marketing, Google AdWords marketing, and so forth. So there's a lot to look at.
And your words of encouragement for, the industry itself, guys like Bheki, other people who are kind of building out the agency space. And I know, past knowledge tells me that, the digital and creative kind of space in Cape Town has been very popular with a lot of international companies coming here, buying a lot of these smaller agencies because of the talent, because of the value. So how do they kind of keep this up and make sure that the digital future is theirs to own?
So I think the first thing is local is lacquer. So get involved with your local web designers. Try and support the younger guys. And also go there with a pitch of what your plans are. And if they buy into your vision, then they will definitely be there to assist you. And that's the main thing, is just find a partner that's willing to grow with you. So that's my piece of advice.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Amazing feedback. That's Stefano from Web to Web. Join us again after the break as we encapsulate and recap the show and give you some of the key insights that would have been shared by Stefano as well as Bheki after the break. Welcome back. You better get your pens and pencils ready because right now is that time of every evening where we recap the wonderful show we've had this evening. Earlier tonight, we were joined by Bheki Kunene from Trix Media, as well as Stefano Arasina from Web to Web. And they shared some intricate insights around the digital and creative industries that they work in. From Bheki, we learned the importance of starting where you are with what you have. Now, this is a message that we've carried for a long time on the show. Bheki started his business with 600 Rand in his pocket, and today he's a globe-trotting entrepreneur with clients in all the continents of the world. We also learned the importance of handling your emotions. Now, for the young people out there, do believe that any opportunity and every opportunity is available for you to take on the world and to really conquer. And maybe perhaps one day, you too will find your way onto the Forbes 30 under 30 like Bheki has. He spoke most importantly about the importance of dreaming and allowing your mind to be creative And again, a little message to the parents out there. Do allow your children to dream and don't frustrate them by not realizing that their talent and the world that they built today is all about those dreams. Now, from Stefano, we learned some critically important things for the young entrepreneurs out there who are going into this digital space. He tells us that it's important to go into doing your background checks, checking the online sites to make sure that the talent that you recruit is properly vetted. He also encouraged us to go local and really become locally relevant in the spaces and the creative environments that we sit in. And lastly, for the young guys, he basically said, you know what, if you've got a creative talent, you're in graphics, or you like art, go out there and go and volunteer some of your time to learn the skills and the intricate insights of the industry so that you too may one day grow to possibly have your own Mind Trix one day. I hope those points were relatively useful to you and your personal growth. Just hold on 1 second and just join us again as we go into link now about personal branding and the legalities faced as you build your own personal brand.
There's a lot of mistakes that people make in personal branding, and I think generally, in the 21st century, we're looking at making your branding more appealing to consumers. We're dealing in a world which is a lot more customer-centric. So what your brand should really do is speak to who your consumer is and what is the product that you're selling. A lot of mistakes that people make is sometimes naming the brand after themselves or making the brand appeal to them when the target market is completely different. If you're a kids brand, you don't want to make it too formal or serious or upmarket. It's not going to appeal to the children or what parents' perception of what children enjoy. So you want to make it more colorful. You want to make the lines more playful rather than professional. If you're doing a professional brand, you want to keep it slick and clean, the message on point. So things like that. It's about, sitting down and saying, this is the customer we're dealing with, and this is the product, and how can we bring those customers to that product in the most conducive way? Well, the best way to take it is, really break it down and understand what is my customer, what is my product, and then on top of that, once you have that really defined, what is my message, and bringing those three together. If your message is professional and clean, you want to consult with a designer to make sure that they're able to help you. A lot of people don't understand how to bring a message across, visually or in terms of a shape or a form, and a lot of the time, it can look too direct, which a consumer is not going to relate to. Maybe it doesn't look too professional if it's too direct because you're tackling it head on, and the consumer feels like they should be smarter than that, and you're a bit more subtle. So it's definitely great to set out those three things, a customer, product, and message, and then consult with someone who knows how to best bring those together visually to a way for your customer to understand. In terms of general online marketing, it's a great space for entrepreneurs to be in because it gives them easy access to make their products known. Before, when you started a business, you really had to have a big investment into marketing because you only had the options of print, radio, and television, which are all things that are high-cost items, tens of thousands of rands upwards. So it was very difficult for someone to break into the market. Now with the internet, you've got channels like Google AdWords, social media, and many more that you can enter with as little as 100 Rand if you're doing it yourself, or a couple thousand Rand if you're using an agency. And that allows you to quickly start with a very small business and grow it little by little. The great thing is it's also real time. You don't have to wait a month or two to get into a magazine because of the publishing or for some ad space to open up. You can decide today that you want to run an ad, tomorrow it's running, and by the end of the week you're getting your results, and you can immediately take that profit and reinvest it if it's working out. You're also able to test the market that way. You're able to introduce a product into the market and very quickly see if people are biting, if people are buying it, and if it's going to work before you invest large sums of money. So I think that's great. It's allowing people to almost learn by doing rather than the old style of business where you're spending a lot of time strategizing, doing market research, making sure that your product is perfect before investing heavily. This way we're able to do market research on a continuous basis where you advertise, test, change, advertise again. The website is your last port of call for any customer. Any kind of marketing you're doing is resulting on people going to your website, and that's where they're going to, whether it's your online store or not, they're always going to go research you there. So it's very rare that, for instance, someone sees an ad online and they go from that ad straight to your store. Normally the path is ad, website for more research or more understanding, and then to your store. So even if your store is really good and your marketing's really good, if your website is not in line with all of that, a customer can very quickly drop off. And that's something that's very important for customers. So what we're doing most of the time is helping customers get their website up to the standard of their products, of their stores, and of their online advertising, because it's often a very neglected area. And it's got to do with a lot more than just having a website that looks good. It has to function across all the different mobile devices that are out there now, all the different browsers that are out there, and those kind of things. Remember, customers these days are spending hundreds of hours a month on websites, and they're visiting hundreds of different websites of different brands, from international to local. So they have a very good understanding of what's good and what's not good, what works well and what doesn't work well, whether they're actively researching it or not. It's just something that comes naturally to them. So it's about, you know, making sure that you're working with someone that really knows what's going on, not just on a local level, but on an international level, because that's what your customers are being exposed to through many streams like, you know, Amazon and you know, Facebook and these international websites that people frequent. So, I mean, when it comes to online marketing, the important thing is choosing the right direction, because there's a lot of different types of online marketing, and it's about am I doing results-driven marketing, so something that someone's searching for then and there and trying to capture that lead, or am I doing brand building? So a good example might be if you're a plumber versus if you're trying to sell t-shirts. One is a purchase that happens when you need it. So someone will go into Google and write, my drain is blocked, and then your ad will come up, and that's much more likely to result in a sale than if you're doing social media marketing. So social media marketing, you're putting yourself out there and creating awareness that, you know, I'm Joe Plumber and I offer these services. Now the likelihood of that occurring when someone needs it exactly is quite low. So that is not going to result in the highest return as Google AdWords. Whereas with a t-shirt, for instance, that's an impulse purchase. It's not someone searching specifically to go buy one kind of t-shirt or a t-shirt in general. You know, they're scrolling and then they see a nice t-shirt that they like and they'll buy it. So it's about creating awareness around the fact that you have these t-shirts, these are the great t-shirts, and when a consumer sees that, it creates that impulse in them to go and buy it. When it comes to your brand and your logo, you need to use the correct shapes and lines to represent what you're doing. So if it's professional, the current trends that are in is this thin and modern. The colors you want to be using are slick, like blacks and grays. You don't want to be using too much neon color. You know, those can be accents to bring out a little bit more personality, but it doesn't want to be your main thing. You also don't want to mix too many colors if you're being professional. Whereas if it's, for instance, a kids brand, you can play with colors a lot more. You can use multiple different colors because that creates a sense of energy and fun and excitement. So it's really about, you know, the market you're serving and how to directly affect those using the correct colors.
Those are some fascinating insights. As usual, you know, my little spice on this is that I really believe in personal branding. Again, this wonderful show has allowed me to really personally build my own brand, and again, the opportunity that's provided for it. And as we close the show, I think it's quite interesting that we've spoken today about really the importance of being creative and dreaming and how the connections come together. I've known Bheki for a long time, and I can tell you that he has worked very hard to build the business that he has today. So as you enjoy our show, I trust you'll take some of the critical lessons that were shared this evening through Bheki's story. Do join us again next week as we continue telling wonderful entrepreneurial stories and fixing some of the unique challenges that they have. If you're looking for us, we can find us on social media. We are on Facebook and on Twitter. It's @_businessbeat. Do join us again next week. Good night.